Salve, amice, and welcome. Today we are in John chapter 3, verse 16, the one that absolutely everybody knows, but nobody knows the one that comes after it. But that's for next week. So let's go ahead and get started. Here is our rubric, everything that we're looking for as we go through this text. And now the Latin. Sic enim delexit Deus mundum ut filium suum unigenitum daret ut omnis qui credit in eum non pereat, sed habeat vitam aeternam. And that's as far as we're going to make it today. Our very first word is just like the adverbs we had up here, sicut and ita, but in this case, this is sicut without the ut, and so it's just going to have the normal meaning, very similar to ita, just thus. And then enim means for. Our other option for that is nam. And then we come to our first verb, which is nice, very close to the beginning. Delexit, delego, delegere, delexi. So we have the perfect stem right here. That it ending is going to be a third person singular. It is active and indicative. Now we want to find a singular subject, which we have right here with Deus, our US. That's pretty easy. That's going to be capitalized God. And this one means loved or adored. To the best of my understanding, delego is the Latin equivalent to the Greek agapao. So one way that we talk about agapao, agape, if you prefer the noun, and that's divine love. The other options we have are storge, which I can never remember what that one means, philia, which is like brotherly love, friends, and then eros, which is desire. So for Latin, amo is roughly equivalent to filio, because filio, we get the word philos, whatever, which means friend, and then we've got amicus, which means friend in Latin. Delego is like agape, and then I don't remember what the equivalent for storge is, because I don't remember what storge itself means, and then we've got eros, and cupio in Latin corresponds to that one. So God loved, God adored, not as in a desire, cupidity, not as in all buddy, nudging my elbow into an imaginary person right now, not in the idea of storge, whatever that one means. Almost, if you will, like the way that a parent loves their child. I think that it would be a reasonable representation of what this verb means. Let's move on. Mundum, we have right there, which then tells us that this is either nominative singular or accusative singular. Well, since we've already got our singular subject for our singular verb, accusative is the only option. And this is neuter, means world. And the Romans had a interesting sense of humor with this word, because there's another mundum word and has a different meaning. If you want, you can look it up and find it out. It's crass, but also funny. Moving on. Ut. Oh no, we have an ut clause, so we're going to have to skip that. Move on and figure out what the rest of this, the forms of this clause are before we could figure out what type of ut clause is. Just a normal indicative where it just means just as, like, or is it a result clause, or is it a purpose clause? So, filium, right there, so we know that this is accusative and singular, masculine. Suum matches filium, so these two go together. And this is also the reflexive one. I'm going to write that. And that goes all the way back to our subject, who is Deus. Moving on, unigenitum, right there. It's going to be the same form as filium and suum. So this modifies that. Daret. We have et as our ending right there. T is clearly a third person singular, so confirming that Deus is still our subject. But then are, which is technically the end of this verb, tells us what form this is. In this case, we've got our imperfect subjunctive. So in our last video, we talked a little bit about the subjunctive. We went into the present form of the subjunctive. For the secondary sequence tenses, the way that subjunctive forms is a little bit different, just as the perfect subjunctive form is different from the present. Present has this nice pattern here, which is actually frequently hard to spot if you're not expecting it. But for the secondary sequence of the subjunctive, it's even easier to spot. What we're looking for there is our infinitive form. So for the imperfect, we've got the present infinitive, and then you put the endings on there. So do dare, dare is our stem, and then we add mst mustus unt, or is term erminientur if you want the passive. For the pluperfect subjunctive, you take the perfect infinitive. So this would be do dare dedi. Dedisse is the perfect infinitive. So it would be dedissem, dediset, and so on and so forth. Okay, there we go. So, imperfect subjunctive. Oh, and it's active. Forgot to add that in. Now, since we have a subjunctive, we know that this can't be an ut with indicative, so we do have to have either a purpose clause or a result clause, but we still don't have quite enough information to pick one over the other. So let's go ahead and translate these. His, and to show the reflexive nature, own, son, and then unigenitum. You've seen this one before, unus and genitum, one or only begotten. No, they're not two G's. Two T's. Someday I'll learn how to spell. I keep telling you that, but it hasn't happened yet. Or one, same thing. So, our options as we have them at the moment are for thus God loved or adored world, with the result that he gave his own only begotten son, or for thus God loved or adored the world in order that he gave his own only begotten son. Could go either way. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the verse to see if that sheds any more light on what's going on. And already on the two different ways that we have translated it, you should know instinctively that one is better than the other. But we'll get to that in a minute. All right, ut. Oh no, another ut clause. So, same three options here. Just ut with an indicative, as a result, or as a purpose. And since we've got two of them, I would tend to say that it's likely that we have, if there are subjunctive verbs with this clause, then one of these is going to be a result, and the other one is going to be a purpose. Now, they could both be results, or they could both be purposes. But we'll see. Ut omnis, omnis omne, this is going to be nominative, or genitive singular. And it is masculine, or feminine. And without looking at the verb, can't really know for certain. Qui, so we have a relative clause right here. I'm going to go ahead and block that off and come back to another. Qui credit in eum non periat. Aha, here we go. Relative clause ends right there. Come in with non. So we have a negative. And if you recall from my horrible mess-ups in the previous video, non can negate result clauses, but purpose clauses are usually negated by ne. Now, this is one of those rules that is not ever fast. It's never 100% the case. Almost always, though. So, since we have a non here, we can expect this ut to be a result clause. Pereat, eat, eat. We already have it right there. No need to parse it again. Third person, singular, present, active, subjunctive. So, that's good. Habeat, exact same form there for that one. So, those two go together. Sed means but. Non vitam, am right there. That is accusative singular feminine. Aeternum, am. So this one is modifying vitam. And this means eternal life. Exactly how it looks. So then, now we can come back to qui credit in eum. Qui can either be nominative singular masculine or nominative plural masculine. We've got credit there, it, as its ending. So this one has to be singular to match its verb. Since this is nominative singular masculine, omnis also has to be nominative singular masculine since qui is referring back to it. So not genitive and not feminine. Nominative and masculine. Who credit third person, singular present tense, because we have the present stem, credo, credere, credidi, so there's only one D, and that is active and indicative. In eu, prepositional phrase plus accusative, which is normal with credit. Credit, I think credit can take the dative, I believe, and a dative, or believe in a accusative prepositional phrase. So singular masculine from is, id, eum, would have to go back to the next nearest thing. Not going to be omnis, since that's the subject. So then our previous clause, we have filium. So am most likely goes to that. In him who believes in him. All right, now back to here. With the result that everyone who believes in him may not perish, does not perish, but has life eternal, or in order that everyone who believes in him does not perish, but has life eternal. Okay, having gone through both of the ways that these translate, all of us naturally have the form of John 3:16 that we memorized stuck in here, and it's going to be hard to overcome that. So I'm going to the best of my ability, make my judgments on whether these are purpose or result based on what we have available in the text, and try to, as much as possible, ignore my memorized form from probably King James Version or something. So, as we take a look at this clause, ut plus a imperfect subjunctive. We have no adverbs, we have no negatives, so this one could generally go one way or the other. Now, logically, following from this, for thus God loved the world, did he love the world in order that he gave his only son, or with the result that he gave his only son? Sensibly, according to how the thought runs, this one makes most sense as a result clause. We have nothing really to say 100% sure. If we had the right type of adverb, then we would know definitely a result clause. But we don't have that. It's in the open. All we have is the context right here. So I'm going to say result based on context. No words are clear on which it should be. Only this first clause right here gives us an idea. With the result that he gave his own only begotten son. Now on to the second clause. Ut omnis non periat sed habeat vitam aeternam. Now, for this one, we do actually have an indication of what type of clause this should be. We have non. Non right next to the first of our two verbs. Sed acts as it's a coordinating conjunction for them. Not coordinating. It's a disjunctive conjunction. So they're joined together disjunctively, if that makes any sense. So since we have non, and non is what is used 99 or more % of the time to negate result clauses, non tells us that this one also has to be a result clause. Even though someone as dumb as me, as you know from the previous video, would expect there to be one purpose, one result, or one result, one purpose. And that's not always going to be the case, as it seems to be here. So, proper way to probably translate this, just based on that non right there, is he gave his only begotten son, with the result that thinking different language there, everyone who believes in him does not perish, but has life eternal. So, that's how we're going to have to treat it. Non tells us this has to be result, so we have to treat it that way. Let's see, we did use perish or die for this one. But has, or the other way of translating it, keeping it in a subjunctive form, which is not normal, except for weirdos like us. And there we go. That is John 3:16. Looking through it, I didn't leave out anything. Let's go ahead and look at it in its own context. For thus God loved the world. with the result that he gave his own only begotten, one begotten Son, with the result that everyone who believes in him may not die, may not perish, but may have life eternal, or does not perish, but has, as we would normally translate it in English. So far, so good. It makes sense. It's a little bit odd once you've got New King James Version, Old King James Version, NIV, whichever one it is, rattling around in your brain. Now let's go ahead and take a look at it from verse 1. I can pick up these pages. But there was a man of Pharisees, Nicodemus by name, Prince of Jews. This one came to him at night, and he said to him, Rabbi, we know that you have come from God, a teacher, for no one is able to do these signs which you yourself do, unless God will have been with him. Jesus responded and said to him, Truly, truly, I say to you, unless someone has been born anew, afresh again, he is not able to see the kingdom of God. Nicodemus says to him, How is man able to be born since he is old? Surely he is not able to go inside a second time into womb of his mother and to be born. Jesus responded, Truly, truly, I say to you, unless someone reborn, born again, has been from water and spirit, he is not able to enter into kingdom of God. What has been born of flesh is flesh, and what has been born from spirit is spirit. Do not marvel that I said to you, it is necessary for you to be born again afresh or new. The Spirit blows where it wishes, and you hear its voice, but you do not know from where it comes and to where it goes. Thus is everyone who has been born from spirit. Nicodemus responded and said to him, How are these able to happen? Jesus responded and said to him, You are teacher of Israel, and these you do not know? Or these you are ignorant of these? Truly, truly, I say to you, that what we know we say, and what we have seen we testify, and our witness you do not receive. If I said terrestrial to you, and you do not believe, how if I will have said to you, celestial, will you believe? And no one ascended into heaven, unless someone descended from heaven, Son of Man who is in heaven. And thus Moses lifted up serpent in wilderness. Thus to be exalted it is necessary for the Son of Man, in order that everyone who believes in him does not or may not perish, but have life eternal. For thus God loved the world with the result that he gave his own Son, only begotten, with the result that everyone who believes in him does not perish, but has life eternal. And there we go. Thank you very much for joining me in this text. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I hope that you have a very good day. Wale. Hey, not asleep yet? That's okay. I've got tons of other equally sleep-inducing videos for you to watch. Check them out.